Welcome to this video presentation and song performance. In my work, I developed practice-based and arts-based research practice exploring songwriting and the singer-songwriter as a heuristic. Today I want to first give you an introduction to a song written about 3/4 into the first pandemic year, and I'll then play you the song. I've moved into a forest near my home to be close to one of the oldest sentient beings in the area, the speechwood tree behind me, the lady of the forest. I assume she's old enough to have experienced many of the changes to the environment that have happened since the Industrial Revolution. And since my presentation and song are concentrated around the notion of the Anthropocene, I feel this is a fitting stage today, although I may get a visit from a few mosquitoes as well, as you can see. Human impact on the planet's ecosystems and climate through the last few centuries have some scientists suggesting we name a new geological epoch after us, the Anthropocene. Our interconnectedness with each other and with non-human species knows no borders in this Anthropocene, as we have also seen during the pandemic, this pandemic year of living with COVID-19. I'm concerned with going through what we may call Anthropocene moments, those times when we realize that any perceived trajectory or promise of stability can be hoped for at best. Those of us fortunate enough to have had the privilege of such expectations may have grown up expecting the passing on of better living conditions, health, wealth, and possibilities from one generation to the next, especially here in the global north where I'm from. But such expectations have become deranged, as Amitav Ghosh suggests in his essay, The Great Derangement. In the global south, these kinds of expectations are and were historically mostly part of the imaginary of the economically privileged. Still, according to Ghosh, there can be said to be something strangely unifying in the fact that the onset of the climate and biodiversity crises affects us all, albeit unevenly. In the global south, I've written songs with people going through the aftermath of a historic water crisis in Cape Town. And here in Denmark, I've written songs with people going through the COVID-19 crisis. We would meet, have give and take conversations around a set of issues, and try to write a song together. My work also involves personal songwriting, and today I will share a song that came to me during the pandemic. It's called Dream of the Anthropocene, because I want to dare to dream of a different future Anthropocene where things become more balanced, more fair, more clean, where we have left dreams of mastery of each other, of nature behind, as philosopher Achille Mbembe has called for. A simple story, close to home, set me off in writing this song. My 5-year-old daughter had had a bad cough for nearly 6 weeks, and as Denmark was locked down on March 11th, 2020, it was getting a lot worse. We didn't expect it to be COVID-19, but we grew increasingly unsure because information available about the symptoms was inconclusive at best. The nights seemed to be the more challenging for her, and no one was getting much sleep. I was scared, of course. The only thing I can think of that is worse than not being able to breathe myself is to watch a loved one suffer and not being able to do anything about it. I kind of got used to the raspy inhalations and the coughing because she seemed to have it under control. But I never got used to the fear that she might not all of a sudden be able to breathe at all. I envisioned myself behind the wheel driving recklessly to the emergency room, my wife holding our baby in the passenger seat as she was losing her life. Fortunately, this nightmarish vision remained a fiction, a specter of what could happen on the continuum from the everyday to disaster. I had, of course, been in touch with the family physician, but she was not allowed to examine my daughter since the cough could not be ruled out to be a COVID-19 symptom. And I was to take her to the hospital instead because all children with such symptoms were to come there for any examination during this time. After careful consideration, which involved nearly getting in the car with a go bag, my wife and I finally opted out. And against protocol, the physician instead prescribed penicillin without having seen the patient. In the end, the penicillin helped my daughter deal with what was perhaps pneumonia. We kept practicing social distancing, and we hoped that when and if we did get the virus, our daughter would have fully beat what ailed her before. The everydayness of the experience of having sick children betrays what was an Anthropocene moment. I felt it viscerally now in choosing not to approach the hospital for treatment. The dilemma was, of course, obvious because I also didn't know if she actually did have COVID-19. No right or wrong decision to be made, only a careful feeling it out. Perhaps the gravity and the reach of the climate and biodiversity crises come across more clearly when we are in the presence of the innocence of children, when we start to understand that they are victims in the present and not only in some faraway and unimaginable future, that they're born unwittingly and without complicity into these troubles. Much of the song I'll write some 9 months later after this incident will come out as open questions that don't have easy answers. The lyrics will reflect readings that engage critically with colonialism, the thingification and the asset making inherent in capitalist extraction and extortion of people and planet. The words also reflect readings of first-person narratives, as well as conversations and experiences accumulated over decades, arriving at dreaming audaciously of a different Anthropocene. A simple story sparked this song. The story of my concern about the incessant cough of a little 5-year-old girl who I did not dare take to the hospital out of fear that it might kill her. Today I just consider myself lucky that I did not have to write that song. So I propose a dream of the Anthropocene and a song that asks questions, perhaps in between the dream, the questions, and my voice singing to create resonance, first in my own body and then with you. A few steps are taken on a path towards greater understanding for all of us. It is just a dream, but also a start towards thinking that our futures may become different than we fear. How do we connect when everything is broken? When we arrive upon the scene of the Anthropocene, as soon as our eyes open, and how do we come to terms with the terms of this engagement, where our destructive legacies and extractive industries unite in full arrangement? Do we call upon our gods? Do you think they might be listening? Do we call upon each other to collaborate in the witnessing that there's life in you and I, in the water, earth, and sky, and to stop taking without giving, to make this a place that we all live in, balanced, fair, and clean, in a dream, in a dream of the Anthropocene. How do we step up to this challenge of our species with the vision of heart and mind in everything we could find, our duels of dualities and pieces? And how do we connect if everything keeps breaking under hugging heinous manners and self-accolading banners, a worldly paradise forsaken? Do we call upon our gods? Do you think they might be listening? Or do we call upon each other to collaborate in the witnessing that there's life in you and I, in the water, earth, and sky, and to stop taking without giving, to make this a place that we all live in, balanced, fair, and clean, in a dream of you and I, in the water, earth, and sky, and to stop taking without giving, to make this a place that we all live in, balanced, fair, and clean, in a dream, in a dream. The Anthropocene. In in a tree, in a tree. The Anthropocene.
In the fallout of COVID, Norman Denzin and Michael Giardina wrote, "Like nearly everyone else in any other profession, many of us are burned out, depleted, and emotionally drained from charging forward these last 18 months, as if everything is okay, but really, it isn't." They offer us a challenge. Can we collectively live our way through these troubled times, this nightmare, and push through into newly imagined utopian spaces? Can we train a new generation of engaged scholars and community leaders who will lead us into these uncharted spaces? Can we intervene into the challenges and the demands that we face, to be present to the history that we all shape? A call to do more, as we call ourselves and each other to do more. Always more. And more does need to be done, because as Denzin and Giardina point out, things are really not okay for a good many people. Babette Rothschild describes how there are greater and lesser degrees of stress. The demands of trauma cause the most extreme stress responses. I've spent too much time in recent years in a hyper-stimulated state of chronic stress and nervous activation. To say the least, I found it to be no fun at all. It is utterly exhausting. And I've found that it makes effective, meaningful, useful work difficult or impossible. So alongside this ever-present and seemingly escalating need to do more, I've also needed to tell myself that I'm doing enough, that it's okay, that our work is okay, that I'm okay, that it's all right. I've needed to tell myself this and to believe it in some way, to ratchet down my anxiety, to be able to function on a day-to-day basis. But it's hard to do, isn't it? To believe that it's all right, it's okay, while knowing full well that everything is not all right. I find it very easy to believe the bad things I tell myself. It's easy to internalise the alarms and the warnings of others. Most times I struggle to see, much less believe, the good news. Writing songs, I think, has been a way I've been able, somehow, sometimes, to see, feel and believe the good that surrounds us. It is there, by the way. I don't know how the process works, how writing a song can reveal to me something I hadn't otherwise been conscious of. It's certainly not something I'm in control of, something that I can make happen. But it does happen. And it's happened for me for over 30 years now. The song I want to share today, It's Alright, is one such song. It emerged out of chronic distress, illness, savage job cuts at the university I was then employed, insomnia, bereavement, and a global pandemic. I really needed this song. I needed to get to a place that I could feel it. And then I needed to write it. Now I need to sing it. I try to let its sentiments and its sensations wash over me, to calm my nervous system. I'm grateful for this song, that it exists at all, that I can sing it anytime I want, and that I can share it today with you. She's watching, she's waiting, she's behind that door. She knows that she's held and she believes in love. And I see you, I see you, I see your form. And it's alright, it's alright, it's all. hurting, he's hiding still behind safe walls. But he's learning and growing, he's beginning to trust. And I hear you, I hear you, I hear your song. And it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Turning, you're grooving, you're not on your own. You're dancing, rebelling, now you're taking it home. And we see you, we hear you, we know you all. And it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. The song may not, on the face of it at least, provide any answers to the dilemmas I'm wrestling with here. It doesn't seem to provide any instruction on what I should do, or even what should be done, if a should even exists at all, which I'm beginning to doubt. I, like many, often feel depleted, burned out, and emotionally drained. It's no surprise in the wake of the events of recent years. But other times I have moments of energy, enthusiasm, and joy. I felt these things when I wrote It's Alright, and I felt them again when I just played the song. I feel them when I paddle out into the Atlantic Ocean to surf, or when I connect in a meaningful way to others, especially those I hold dear. I found some comfort, guidance perhaps, in Pema Chodron's book, When Things Fall Apart. This section seems important to me now as I contemplate what a song like It's Alright might bring to the table. So, she writes, along with clear seeing, there's another important element, and that's kindness. It seems that without clarity and honesty, we don't progress. We just stay stuck in the same vicious cycle. But honesty without kindness makes us feel grim and mean. Sometimes it's expressed as heart, awakening your heart. Sometimes it's called unlimited friendliness. But basically, kindness is a down-to-earth, everyday way to describe the important ingredient that balances out the whole picture and helps us connect to unconditional joy. I think Denzin and Giardina bring a clarity and honesty to the dilemmas that face the qualitative inquiry community, and perhaps our wider communities as well. But I don't imagine that they would want the clarity and honesty they offer to leave me, or any of us, feeling grim and mean. So, I need kindness too. I need to awaken my heart. I need to balance out the whole picture and connect once more to joy. That is what a song brings.
David Carless wrote that songwriting is a leap of faith. I wonder, where was David leaping from and to? What border was he crossing? Songwriting, for many of us, is an intimate experience, full of alchemy, so it can seem quite mystical. And what I've attempted to do here is to try and share some of the process of what I experience. As I considered the conference themes, bodies, territories, and touch. I'm surrounded by saints, surrounded by folks who care, who speak their truths, chiseled in stone, to leave no one alone. Pilgrim, you've journeyed so far, your eyes have been opened, and you carry the scars of those who see and unswervingly hold what's more precious than gold, peace, hope, and love. I'm surrounded by ghosts, I'm surrounded by saints, I'm surrounded by folks who care, who speak truths chiseled in stone, to leave no one